Hey guys, welcome to the ToughCess Podcast. It's your girl Suma. This is a new segment brought to you by Suma Speaks, and over here we plan to empower, discuss with different people about their journeys and understand different angles to success so we can all build better, become great versions of ourselves. So this is ToughCess. What's yours? So in today's episode, I'm here by myself. I don't have a guest with me, but I just wanted to talk about focus. So what do I mean by focus? Focus is, well, by Google definition, center of interest. So how do you make yourself the center of interest in your life? I think going through certain things in my life, I was forced to have a moment of solitude and to be focused on myself. And I was just scrolling through my Instagram today and I was looking at my post and I was thinking, wow, I've not posted for a while actually. And I was quite consistent before, but I've not posted on YouTube for like 5 months, and I've not posted on Suma Speaks for a minute because I've been going through my own thing. But I was like, it's not actually a bad thing. You know, it's not a bad thing having a moment to be by yourself, to embrace your solitude, to have time to think and focus on you. And when I was scrolling through my quotes, I seen a quote that I wrote ages ago that said, focus on you until the focus is on you. And I was like, I need to do an episode on this. This would be really cool for me to talk about. So when we go through moments where we want to focus on ourselves, it's because we have major life changes or something pushes us to come out of our comfort zone and sit down and think, okay, like, how can I get to know myself a bit more? And I feel like I went through that period where, let's even take it back to secondary school, where I had to focus on myself so I could actually find myself. And it was a time where I was going through a lot, and yeah, school was just doing the most. Like, I was just going through so many different phases in my life and stuff, and I felt like I really needed to focus on myself and find myself again. And that was through isolation. I had to be, away from everyone else to be able to do that, to be able to find myself, to be able to know who Suma is, because I didn't know who I was until I went through a certain period in my life where I felt like, okay, now, yeah, I'm losing myself a bit. How can I find who I am? So focusing on you is so important, focusing on you so the focus can be on you. And what I mean by that is you focus on you so you can be the better version of yourself. I always say on Suma Speaks, we are here to build better and become the greater versions of ourselves. And I think you can't do that if you don't know who you are, and if you're not self-aware, and if you don't have these things within you, So yeah, in year 10, I went through a phase where I just wanted to find myself, and I isolated myself from everyone really. And I just went through a journey by myself. I was going to the library often. I was speaking to teachers more. I was studying more, and I was just thriving way more by myself. And I found that comfortability being by myself, thriving in that solitude. And I think that's why I'm so comfortable in myself. I feel like obviously that it's a journey. I'm still growing. I'm not exactly where I want to be, but that moment of isolation really did help me during that time. And I have some notes here because I didn't want to forget anything today, because I really wanted to go in depth about this topic and why I wanted to speak about it today. Because for those of you that know or don't know, I lost my brother recently, which I will do a separate episode on soon, because I feel like right now it's still a bit touchy and I don't really want to get emotional, to be honest. But I lost my brother recently, and it was difficult. It was a very tough period of my life. I feel like I've never experienced something like that in my life. It's the first time I've had to really focus on me. And it was difficult because in that time you kind of want to be around people and you want to do things. And I tried to go back to work. I tried to go into my driving lessons and I couldn't do it. And it was God telling me, you need to focus on yourself. You need to be in your own bubble for now. This is a season of focusing on you. And with this new podcast I'm starting, I just thought it would be great to do an episode on focus, why it's so important, how we can actually, what we can gain from focus, So I've got a couple of notes and I just wanted to kind of like look through them and discuss them with you guys whilst you guys are watching me. And I look pretty right now, I know. If you guys are actually watching the video, you'll see. But yeah, some of the quotes that stick out to me that I wanted to discuss today is, number one, saying goodbye to people so you can say hello to yourself. So what do I mean by this? Sometimes people don't fit into your journey, don't fit into your process. If you guys watched episode 1 of the podcast with the beautiful Garcia Brown, you'll hear her speak a lot about solitude and a lot about finding herself and being on her own journey and being in tune with herself. And I think that is so important, guys, to be able to find yourself, to be able to find who you are and say goodbye to people. For a long time, I was not able to cut people off. I don't believe in cutting people off. I believe in closing chapters and letting bygones be bygones, but I don't believe in like cutting people off and you have to block people and stuff like that, But saying goodbye is necessary sometimes. And it may not be forever, it might just be for a moment in time, but it's needed for you to say hello to yourself, for you to reintroduce yourself to yourself, An example of this is when I was in a relationship. I was in a very long relationship. It was like 3 years, 9 months. I just say 4 years because it was such a long time. But yeah, I was in a very long relationship and I felt like in that relationship, I kind of lost myself a little bit because I was so focused on the other person and serving the other person and being there for the other person. And I'm sure they feel the same way as well, that I didn't find myself and they couldn't focus on themselves either because we were so focused on each other, and that period was tough for me because I was codependent. I was unhealthily attached, and I find that sometimes I can be unhealthily attached to things because I don't know myself, but saying goodbye to that relationship, it was difficult for me because I went through a lot, because when you're trying to break an unhealthy attachment, it can be so hard for you to get yourself back together and you get withdrawal symptoms. It's like when someone's addicted to alcohol or they're addicted to drugs, you have moments where you feel like, I cannot do this. I need this thing that brought me that burst of energy or them good feelings, them feel good emotions and hormones and whatever. Do you know what I mean? To make you feel good again, but you don't. Like when you say goodbye to that thing, it's hard just for a moment, and then you find yourself and then you're like, oh, this is who I am. This is who I was called to be. This is who I'm supposed to be. So sometimes you have to say goodbye to things to say hello to yourself. You have to unplug from the world and plug into yourself. And I feel like I've been doing that recently, even with social media. I just post when I feel like posting. I do things on my terms and how I want to do it. So yeah, like saying goodbye to people is necessary sometimes in order for you to grow and find who you are, So that's the first quote that I wanted to discuss in more depth and give you guys an example. Second thing is, let me look at my notes. You have to take control. Control is not given, it's taken. And I want you guys to meditate on that for a second. You have to take control of yourself, take control of how your life is going and which direction you want it to go in, because your life is about you. You're the one that is writing your own story. You can't allow others to write the story for you. Yes, they can contribute to you having a beautiful story, but it's still your story. It's your journey. So you have to be able to take control of your journey and take control of where you want your life to go. Like right now, I'm in a place where, yes, the year has started off bad, but it doesn't have to end that way. It can be turned into something beautiful. It can be turned into an amazing year, a year where I've learned stuff, where I felt true growth, I've felt true strength. Because to lose a sibling, guys, I don't even want to go into that topic too much, but it's really difficult, you know. It's really hard losing someone that you love so much and you care about, and yeah, like it's really difficult, but you have to take control. You have to control your emotions. You have to understand that you're still here, you know. I'm still living, I'm still here. So what can I do with myself? What can I do to better myself? What can I do to be the better version of myself? Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to do it for me. I have to do it for myself. Like I said, you have to take control. Control is not given, it's taken. So that's another thing that I want you guys to meditate on when you're listening to this episode. When I'm speaking about focus, I speak about discipline as well. You know, focusing on yourself takes discipline, and it takes that courage to put yourself first and make yourself a priority in your life. Let's go back to the definition of what focus is. Focus is the center of interest. Make yourself a priority in your life. You should be the center of your life, and everything else after follows. Because if you're okay, trust me, everything else will be okay, and everything else will follow nicely. But if you're not okay, how can everything else be okay? You can't pour into others if you are not pouring into yourself, if you're not trying to find who you are, if you're not trying to build who you are. Like the quote says, you have to focus on yourself until the focus is on you, because eventually the opportunities will come. You know, the deals will come. People will respect you because you respect yourself and you've given yourself that time and you've made yourself a priority in your life. So yeah, that's the two quotes. The next quote that I wanted to talk about, so your wise decision is an anchor to your legacy. So this is interesting. I really wanted to discuss this further as well. So your wise decision, that decision you make to find yourself, to take that time out, to focus on yourself, can be the starting of something amazing for you. Maybe you focusing on everyone else is bringing you back. You're being your own hindrance to your growth. Imagine in like 10 years time, people are doing amazing things and they've got businesses and they're thriving and they're successful in their relationships, and you poured so much into everyone and you forgot to pour into yourself that they've left you behind and you're not doing anything. Your wise decision needs to be an anchor for your legacy. You making the decision right now to be focused on yourself, to build yourself, to find yourself, is something that can build your legacy later on. Because you see, the way I was talking about this podcast for so long, for those that know me, they know I've wanted to do a podcast for so long. Since 2019, I've been banging on about it. But when was I actually going to do it? When was I going to find the courage to actually, you know, focus on myself and actually get things done? When was I going to do it? And now was the time, because I was like, life is clearly too short. You know, I just lost someone that I just see, that I talk to every now and then, and I speak to them, and I've lived with them, and you know, I've seen them grow up, and etc., etc. So what makes me think I won't be next, you know? So you have to make wise decisions in good timing as well. And I'm going to do an episode on timing, because I feel like timing is so important with everything. There's a season for everything. There's a season for focus on yourself. There's a season for pouring into others as well, which we will get into another time. And that's the whole point of ToughCess, you know? ToughCess is like the different angles of success. There are different types of success, and right now I'm trying to be successful in prioritizing myself, you know, and that is one side to look at, you know. So yeah, your wise decision can be the anchor to your legacy. Write it down. As I'm saying these quotes, I want you guys to be writing down things. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as well as I'm speaking to you guys. So yeah, the next thing as well is for you to be self-aware, for you to understand the direction of your life, for you to know where you want to actually go. That way you can focus on yourself. If you don't know where you're going, you won't have any purpose to actually focus on you. I had a vision in my head as to where I wanted to be and what I wanted for myself and how I wanted people to see me and what legacy I wanted to leave behind. but it took me understanding myself first and having that self-awareness in order for me to be able to do that, you know, for me to be able to sit back and think, okay, yeah, like I do want to focus on myself. I do need time to embrace my solitude. And a lot of people fear loneliness, but loneliness is important sometimes. Sometimes being alone allows you to really find what makes you happy and what brings you peace, because everything that brings you peace is just an addition. But if you're someone that can find the peace within yourself, I feel like you've mastered a great thing. Finding that peace within yourself allows you to not be dependent on anyone else for that peace. So self-awareness is so important, and understanding what you actually want out of life and what you actually want to achieve so you can focus on that thing. So how do we actually find that focus? How do we focus on ourselves? What do we do? Because it's so great, you know, me saying all these things about focus and how it's so important and etc., etc. But what do we actually do to actually focus on ourselves and build ourselves and etc.? I think the number one thing is actually investing into yourself. A lot of us, we like to invest into others. I mean, I know my love language to others is to actually pour into them and give them words of affirmation, buy them gifts, you know. But how about we do that for ourselves? How about we invest into ourselves? We work so hard to provide for others. If you ask someone why they're working, they'll probably tell you, oh, I'm working to provide for, you know, my family, to help my mom or to help my siblings, or so I can leave something behind and etc. But what about you? What about you investing into yourself? You know, self-care, self-love, working and actually treating yourself, working and producing something that you'll be proud of. So invest into yourself, guys. That is, I think, one of the ways to really focus on yourself is to start investing into yourself. Start thinking about a day where you can just take that day out for yourself, treat yourself, you know, do something that makes you happy, that brings you peace, that makes you feel like yourself, you know. Invest into yourself. That's number one way. Number two is you have to be willing to completely die to the woman that you was to become the woman that you want to be. A lot of people know me, know my quote, shall I say, that I say quite often, which is, I would rather choke on greatness than nibble on mediocrity. And I want you guys to really sit down and think about what I'm saying. I would rather choke on greatness than nibble on mediocrity. You have to be willing to die to the woman that you was to become the woman that you want to be. It's like the caterpillar turning into a butterfly. Sometimes we get too comfortable with who we are that we fear who we are trying to become, that we never become it. We end up staying in this one place and we never progress. We never get to a certain point in our life because we're so comfortable and we're so comfy with how we are. But how can you progress and how can you live a life that you want, that is fulfilling, where you are leaving a legacy, if you are so comfortable with where you are? You know, that is not a life of peace, a life that you actually want, you know. You want to actually explore things. You want for one day the things that you're dreaming of to become a reality. Them things that are always in your mind, that you're always planning, and the person that you visualize yourself to be, you want to become that person, but you can't become that person if you're so stuck in your ways and if you're so stuck on who you was and everything, and you want to uphold a certain image in people's head as well, like, oh, this is the Summer that I used to be, so I have to be that person and I have to stay that person. No, you don't. You have to actually be ready to get rid of that person. It's, you know, you have to be ready to change things around, try new things, step out of your comfort zone, be a different person, because that is what will make you successful. And that is part of your ToughCess. It is hard to get rid of a certain part of you that you're so used to, that you're so familiar with, but that is needed for your growth. It's like when I wanted to start wearing the hijab. I loved doing my hair. You know, I still love doing my hair. I can do hair. I can braid hair. I can cornrow hair and everything. I used to work in a salon at one point, and I love fashion. I love dressing up. I love feeling good and dressing good, because I feel like dressing good is a form of good manners, you know? But I had to die to that woman to become the person that I want to be, who is a woman that honors her faith as well as honors herself. You know, my faith is a big part of me. So if I'm going to do anything, I need that to be in the center of my life as well. And if I want to become that person, I had to get rid of the old person. That doesn't mean that Suma isn't there anymore. She's still there. But it's just I had to change a couple of things. I had to change my wardrobe. I had to change the way I looked. And it's difficult. It's hard. It's not an easy journey, but that's the whole point of, you know, trying to become a successful person. It's not supposed to be easy. You are supposed to go through times where it will be difficult for you. This is your ToughCess, you know, it is a struggle. It's not easy at all. But if you find that courage within yourself to die to that person, to become the person that you want to be, you will thank yourself later for it. So that's one of the tips as to how you can actually focus on yourself. The next tip is you have to spend time in solitude. So take time out for yourself. Take time out to find who you are. I mentioned this before, and I don't want to keep rambling on about the same thing, but I love my own time. I love my own space. When I was in uni, I used to just sit down by myself, read my book, write my poems, just chill by myself with no one. I'd turn my phone off, or I'd put it on do not disturb, and it would just be time for mindfulness, time for me to be myself and to find who I was and spend time by myself, you know. So spending time in that solitude is so important, because a lot of people fear who they are when they are by themselves, and they fear being by themselves. They fear speaking to themselves. You know, a lot of people say the first signs of madness is talking to yourself. And honestly, if that's what's making me mad, I don't really care. As long as I'm at peace, it's all good, you know. But you have to spend time in solitude. So that's another tip as to how you can focus on yourself, so people can start focusing on you and respecting you as well. The next thing, if I'm looking at my list, is, okay, the last thing, shall I say, is if you aim at nothing, you hit everything and you score nothing. So what do I mean by this? If you don't have a destination that you want to reach, like I was saying before, if you aren't self-aware and if you don't have a goal, you hit everything on the way. You try everything, you know, you follow everyone and you lose yourself. But if you aim at something, you will score something as well. Because the more you keep shooting at that aim, you will score at one point. There'll be times where you'll feel like, oh, am I ever going to score? Is this ever going to work? Am I ever going to get that ball in? Am I ever going to become successful? But you will, because you have a goal, you have an aim. If you go on Suma Speaks, I once spoke about holding the vision and trusting the process. And I think it's so important to do that constantly. Hold that vision. Hold that vision. If you have an aim, you need to hold the vision and trust the process. It won't be easy, but at least you have a goal. At least you have somewhere where you want to what you want to achieve. You have somewhere where you want to reach. Without this, where will you be going? You won't know where you're going, because you're literally aiming at everything and anything, and you can get swayed so easily because you literally have nowhere. You have no direction, you know, you have no navigator. But if you have somewhere where you're going, it gives you a purpose, like I said before. So these are my tips on focusing on yourself and trying to find yourself. It's not easy, it's a journey, and this is the whole point of the podcast, for me to be real, for me to talk about my experiences, for me to let you guys into who I am as a person, and to give you tips on how you can build better and become the greater versions of yourself. And we're all on this journey together. I'm here with you on it as well, and I'm nowhere near where I want to be. But I hope that through focusing on myself, through investing in myself, through understanding myself and having that time in my solitude and embracing my seasons of loneliness, that I will become the greater version of myself, so I can inspire people and you know, be that girl, you know, because I was born to be that girl. I'd rather choke on greatness than nibble on mediocrity. So yeah, guys, that is the end of this episode. I didn't want it to be too long. I just wanted it to be quick and fast, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm quite nervous, you know, because this is my second episode, and you know, we're just going with the vibes, and that's it. No, this is ToughCess, guys. I just want to be real. I just want to be myself, and I just want you guys to be on this journey with me. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Have you ever had a time where you had to focus on yourself, and how was it for you? Did you feel like it went well? Do you feel like you struggle focusing on yourself? And do you feel like these tips have helped you? Let me know. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, and share with your family and friends as well. We're all on this journey together. So yeah, guys, thank you for listening into this episode, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Bye.